Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. UG first year, first semester. Today we are going to talk about on the utility analysis. So utility analysis and concept of consumer surplus we will be trying to learn. In that part, the utility analysis. We know that utility, many times we use very commonly that when we use a product, how much utility we derived, we don't know. But we say that utility has given us enough satisfaction. So in the economics, we try to measure the utility of a product. Utility is defined as a power of commodity, service to satisfy human wants. Utility means the level of satisfaction which people derive from the consumption of a commodity. So utility is a subjective concept and different people derive different level of utility from given a good. We all know whenever we use a commodity, even a same commodity, for example, if you consume apple, one person may be derived more satisfaction than the another person. Or if you measure it in terms of the utility, maybe one person maybe got 100 units of utility, another person might have got 200% utility. So this is varies according to various people given a situations, given an area and location also. So basically this is the level of satisfaction which one individual uses. For this, what are the approaches? Like we said, we can compare and also we can measure in terms of numbers. So this, what is the approach to the utility analysis? If you see this, every consumer, we assume that they are rational. What do you mean by rational? He or she always tries to get maximum satisfaction with a limited income, right? We also individually, we try ourselves best to maximize our utility. The point where consumer derives the maximum satisfaction is known as a equilibrium situation. What is that means? The price you pay and the utility you get, where they intersect, we call that as an equilibrium point. So that means their level of satisfaction is good enough. So now this equilibrium point can be explained in two ways. One is cardinal analysis, another is the ordinal analysis. So what is this cardinal analysis and ordinal analysis? If you see, cardinal analysis approach was developed by Alfred Marshall. We know, if you remember in the unit 1, we said who has given definition of welfare definition. He also developed this analysis called cardinal analysis. What is this analysis? Assumes that a satisfaction that consumer derives from various goods and services could be expressed in terms of cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. So where you can tell the numbers that this much level of satisfaction you got, where you can measure in the numbers. So generally the cardinal analysis, the major 4 approaches we can see. One is law of dimensioning marginal utility. The another is consumers equilibrium with single commodity, law of equimarginal utility, consumer surplus. This all we learn in the further coming lessons. So idea is the core idea of law of dimensioning marginal utility, where people, if the same kind of commodity, if they continue to use, the level of utility they arrive, it will diminish, it will be reduced over a number of commodities once we consume in that way. So consumers equivalent with a single commodity. If it is only one commodity, if you are repeatedly using the same commodity, how this utility is derived, which can come. And also the law of equimarginal utility. When consumers have different kinds of commodities, when they spread across 2 different commodities, how this the equimarginal utility comes, which they talk about. Consumer surplus is nothing but consumers' willingness to pay and actual price they pay. That means we tend to be, sometimes when we go to the market, we believe that a product price might cost us 100 rupees, but to your surprise, if you get that price of commodity only for 20 rupees, your consumer surplus is 80, because that's the actual price you're willing to spend. So these are all can be discussed in detail in the subsequently, and these are all comes in the cardinal analysis. Now let's understand about ordinal analysis. This approach developed by J.R. Hicks and R.J.D. Allen. Who developed the ordinal analysis? Ordinal analysis was developed by J.R. Hicks and R.J.D. Allen. So this analysis basically condemns the cardinal measurability of utility and argues that satisfaction cannot be measured in terms of numbers, but only could be arranged, ranked in order of preference like first, second, third, fourth. So this is very important. So ordinal analyst like J.R. Hicks and J.R.J.D. Allen says that the utility is a qualitative aspect which cannot be quantifiable with a number. So these two approaches discuss about your utility analysis, that is your cardinal analysis and ordinal analysis. So through the ordinal analysis, we can study indifference analysis. So we have indifference curves analysis also at different points of time, how consumers drawing different level of satisfaction, which can be explained by this indifference curves. We will also discuss about it little later. So orally, what we learn from this particular utility chapter, that utility is very important for a consumer whenever they are used any kind of product or any kind of services, whenever they utilize for their own needs. So the question is, now this utility has to be measured. Why should we measure? Whether it's an ordinal approach or a cardinal approach, to identify how much utility we derive, what is the value for money, what we spend, which can be drawn lines from this particular analysis. So that is the reason the cardinal analysis and ordinal analysis, which both were discussed in measuring the total utility. These are all we experience in daily life, right? Like as I told you, in cardinal analysis, whenever you go saying that, okay, today I might got 200 utilities, it is not about the nutritional values. It is not a calories we are talking about. When we are talking about cardinal analysis, we need to remember that it is the only in terms of utility, not in a calories. Whereas ordinal analysis, it is only compared to the previous one. This might have I derived more utility of analysis. So the major take home point is the utility analysis. Based on that, there are a lot of extensive theories are available, like law of dimensioning marginality, law of equimarginality, consumer surplus, as well as indifference curves. So these are the important points. Thank you.